Hello, friends. When I see mental illness, whatever its source, I know three things for certain. First, that this is not God's plan for us. 2 Timothy 1:7, King James Version, says God has given us a spirit of a sound mind. Secondly, there is nothing that God cannot fix. He created us, and even the very hairs of our head are all numbered, says Luke 12:7. Finally, Jeremiah 29:11 says that the Lord wants to give us an expected end. The DSM-5 was, at least in part, informed by deficiencies of DSM-4. One of these areas of deficit was the absence of a scale to determine the depths of a patient's malady. Whereas there existed criteria on which to base a diagnosis in the strictest sense, there was still a need to discern the extent to which the patient was affected by the disease. In the DSM-5 classification and criteria changes, a special article in the June 2013 volume of World Psychiatry, Rieger, Kuhl, and Kupfer set forth on page 95 that the DSM-5's inclusion of severity specifiers contributes important details about the presentation and may be particularly informative for promoting more appropriate treatment, as treatment for certain mild disorders should differ from treatment for regimens for moderate to severe presentations. Barlow and Duran tell us that most psychopathologists believe psychological and social factors interact with biological factors to produce a disorder, end quote. They go on to say that the strict code of the classical categorical approach, where we assume that every diagnosis has a clear underlying pathophysiological cause, while useful and necessary in medicine to make a diagnosis, is insufficient for psychopathology. The dimensional approach, in which we note the variety of cognitions, moods, and behaviors with which the patient presents and quantify them on a scale. For example, on a scale of 1 to 10, a patient might be rated as severely anxious, 10, moderately depressed, 5, and mildly manic, 2, to create a profile of emotional functioning, 10, 5, 2, close quote. Finally, Barlow and Durand explained that the prototypical approach identifies certain essential characteristics of an entity so that you and others can classify it, but it also allows certain non-essential variations that do not necessarily change the classification, unquote. Though this classification is imperfect, as it is said to blur the boundaries of categories, and some symptoms apply to more than one disorder, the advantage, the authors contend, is that it fits best with the current state of our knowledge of psychopathology, and it is relatively user-friendly. Thusly, the DSM-5 is based on this approach. Karen Page.